Hey everybody, Kristen here. This is my week 2 video on Echoes of Our Ancestors page. Last week I started my YouTube channel and posted my very first video about my 10-year anniversary from abstaining from alcohol. And well, I started my channel and named it and everything, and then decided this week I was gonna take a class on how to create YouTube content. So me, being me, putting the cart before the horse, kind of par for the course. So that's why I named this one Can You Say Ass Backwards? I found it funny. That's kind of how that's how I do things. I love to learn, and I thought that would be a great class. So if anybody's interested in putting out YouTube content at some point, but don't know just how interested they are and just want to learn some more, there's a platform. There's an app called Udemy, and it's spelled Udemy, and they have really reasonable prices for some of their course material. I paid $18.99 for a YouTube class, and it teaches you how to create content and thumbnails and all that stuff, all the stuff that I don't really know how to do still. Although I did take a lot of notes, so one day I will. I have not gotten to the part of editing, so don't expect me to edit this. I'm just showing up to do my next video and hopefully make you all feel comfortable and welcome to this particular space. So, yeah, there's 80 some modules in the class that I signed up for. So it's going to be a while that it's going to be bumpy, but hopefully one day things will smooth out. God willing. So anyway, this week I thought that we would talk about a little bit more about my story and whether you can identify with me and who I am. My thought was to build a community of people who could support one another. I've tried multiple times to do in-person communities, and well, it grew, and we all did find a way to support one another, and our time together was enjoyable. And I do still love all of those people, and we do communicate, some of us, regularly, but it's really difficult to keep that going. It really is a sacrifice, and it's a commitment, and sometimes you just can't get there, not in person anyway. So I thought that maybe a community online might be a better idea for right now, especially given the reach that YouTube has for people struggling all across the countries. You know, everywhere in the world, there are people that are having a tough time. Not just us in the States, not just Africa or New Zealand or Canada, not just in one place. There are people struggling everywhere, trying to find somebody who understands what they're going through. And if this community resonates with you, then stay. You're more than welcome. So my story starts out as I'm one of 4 children. My mother passed away when I was 4 years old. She had cancer. So she was sick while I was just a toddler and in and out of the hospital. So about 4 months after my mother passed away, my father married my stepmother, who at the time, I don't think he knew that she had a drinking problem. But as time progressed, it became more and more apparent that she did not know how to cope with things any better than, well, me as a 4-year-old did. The only difference was that I wasn't old enough to buy beer, and she was. So I never really learned how to cope with things, and neither did my siblings, really. We all had our escape. But, so it's safe to say that her growing up in a family where they didn't know how to process their traumas and their emotions, it compounded and came down the line, ancestral trauma. Even though she wasn't my birth mother, she still had trauma. And we all lived in survival mode. All of us kids, my father, my stepmother, we lived in survival mode. There was just no two ways about it. So I talked last week about showing up to everything with a smile on my face and compartmentalizing to my own detriment, probably. But I mean, it served me well in showing up to work as a normal human being, pretending like everything was okay. And I pass that down to my kids, I think. Showing up as everything was okay. I have the opportunity now as a grown-up looking back at things and saying, oh, I was so far off the mark. Now I can go back to them and say, hey, remember this? Hey, I'm sorry that when you were leaving for high school that I was just coming in the door from being out all night. That was, so I would share my chicken wings, my leftover chicken wings with you as your breakfast. That was not okay. That was not okay. And I'm sorry that I did that. And, and I was able to link that to certain patterns that he had picked up in his life. So I'm not telling anybody's story really other than my own, but I can see from where I am now the patterns that I have created through my behavior and my lack of coping skills for my children. And I can not bring it to their attention to fix them, but to bring it to their attention to show where I had made missteps. And I'm not going to call them mistakes because I really don't think that they were, but they are a way to learn something and to progress past that so that we become more refined as human beings in learning how to deal with each other and owning things that hurt somebody else's feelings or made them feel like they weren't enough or that they didn't matter. I remember feeling that way, and it sucked. I can't lie. We all know that it feels pretty sucky to feel like you don't matter or that nobody's there for you or that you're not heard, right? Like, it just is. So I've been able to own a lot of my patterns. But looking back, I can see where they came down the line. My family lived in survival mode. My grandparents and my father, they came through the Great Depression where they didn't really have much of anything. So they lived in survival mode, and that was just to make it from one day to the next and have enough food to put on your table, feeding and clothing your family. There was never enough. So, yes, that was a thing for them. And even before that, there was probably something in those generations where people were going off to war and, trying to send stuff back home was not always easy to take care of a family that you left behind, So every generation has their patterns, has their programming, but we've gotten to the point where we're at the age right now to start releasing some of that programming, to start releasing some of those wounds. A lot of the wounds we carry were never ours to carry. They just weren't. They weren't. And so in order for us to move forward with a clean slate, releasing some of those wounds, it's time. It's time. We need to make peace with things and move beyond that feeling, that emotion that kept us feeling stuck or frustrated or unheard, unseen, like we didn't matter. All those things that build into the way we react to other people or situations, all those things that make us feel so stuck or hurt or cripple our bodies in some way, we're moving beyond that. So any work that you do on the ancestral line serves the 7 generations ahead of you and 7 generations behind you. So I have a lot of grandparents back there, and to think that it would help my granddaughter and my great-grandchildren out down the road, even just 2 generations, that's awesome. 3 generations if you count my own children, which I still work on. I work on my relationship with them, and I'm very open about the way I did things. And if I can introduce to them the way I would do things now out of compassion and love, that changes the trajectory of their lives going forward. And it changes the way that my son will raise my granddaughter. And it changes the approach that I have with my granddaughter. And so I think that we can stop being victims of situations that we didn't actually live through them, but we dealt with the hurt and the frustrations and the wounds from them one way or another. Different players, different faces, all those things do come back because we attract, like attracts like. So to grow up in a family that has no coping skills, you draw other people to you who also have no coping skills. Nobody's going to teach you if they don't know. So, that being said, I'm not going to make this video super long, but I do want to say that that's kind of the premise of where I'm going with this video. We don't have to be victims. We don't have to sing the same song that the ancestors sang. We don't have to keep following the path that was laid out for us all those generations back. We get to create a new path, and we get to create a new understanding of where we're going. We're going to go in a direction of love and compassion and unity and community. Like, there is nothing more that I want than community, to show each other how good it can be, how loved we are, and how compassionate the people around us can be. And that takes one stone in the pond to create that ripple. I want to be the first stone. I mean, surely in the scheme of things, I'm not the first stone. I'm just showing up on my page as the first stone, and then building a community who are also creating ripples in all the ponds around us. So, and I want to send love to everybody who is coming on to view this. I know that things have been challenging for so many. I've been on the roads. I've seen people driving with their ass on fire. Hopefully, my vibe is high enough that you see me on the road and I'm behind the wheel with my windows cracked and my seats on, and I'm singing a song that is coming straight from my heart, belting it out. Hopefully you can't hear me, but at least you can see me because I'm, you know, right up in the music and loving life. And, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm clapping my hands at red lights. You know, how better to dispel negative energy than to let it go. Clapping helps to increase your vibration, releases stuck energy. Singing helps to release stuck energy, helps to raise your vibration. So if you can't do that or like anything else, do that. Do that on your way to work. Do that before you go to work. Do that anytime you want. And if you can't do that, lay down and take a damn nap because you're cranky and you need a nap. So take yourself offline, reset, do things that make you feel good. And if you can't do that, take a shower, get in the water, let that stuff just roll off of you. We're going to make it. We're going to be okay. And I send everybody who watches this, I send you all love and compassion. Close your eyes. Just absorb that. I'm sending it to you right now. Let it flow into your heart. I wish you all the best. Much love, many blessings. See you in the next video.